Welcome to Smores Indoors. I'm Corey, your host, and we are here tonight for a very special event on the channel. And a special guest with us tonight. We have an up and coming actress out in the world of Hollywood. You've seen her in TV and in movies, including Annabelle Comes Home. Got it right here. And going to bring her in right now. Want to welcome Katie Sarife. What's up,
Hi.
Katie?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for
How are you
having
doing
me.
tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you
Good.
guys for waiting.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did want to tell everyone in the chat that Katie said totally blame her on being late, so it's all
Yes.
good.
Yeah, me too. Sorry, I had technical difficulties and then acting stuff. So,
Well,
yeah.
we're definitely going to get into that. It actually had some big news kind of come out today, so we'll get to that kind of later.
Okay.
But first, I wanted to do this. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about So Cold the River later, but I
Okay.
have a special mug that I'm drinking water out of tonight, and I think you'll appreciate it.
Oh, no way. Where'd you get that?
That's actually from the hotel, I think.
Oh,
So,
from the hotel, because you're around there. That's awesome.
yeah. So,
It's so cool.
had to
I went
break that out for tonight. So,
yeah. I went to the French Lick and saw like a bunch of the just museum stuff and Pluto water memorabilia, and I thought it was so cool.
yeah,
That's awesome.
it's really cool that it was worked into the movie. So, for
Yeah.
people around there that know kind of the history of that, but I guess we'll get started. Anytime we do an interview like this, I always like to start out with what are your earliest memories of watching movies and stuff like that as a kid?
Ooh, earliest memories. Of movies. I
Or
don't know.
TV shows, things like that.
I mean, when I was younger, so I have an interesting background. I was raised super Catholic, not anymore,
Okay.
but so I was quite restricted on what I was allowed to watch until I was 13, and even then, it was still kind of monitored. So my movie knowledge kind of came after that, as far as I mean, just I guess a bit more adult stuff. Horror for sure scared the crap out of me. So definitely, I feel like the most horror type thing I watched was probably like I think it was on Disney, and it was like oh my god, what was it called? Not Freaky Friday, like Friday, like it was like a Saturday something special of horror. I don't
Gotcha.
know. Some millennials out there probably know what I'm talking about,
Sure.
but
Sure.
yeah. Um, I don't know. I've always enjoyed movies, mostly acting and playing pretend and stuff like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
But been doing it
Well,
most.
how did how did how did you get into acting? How did that all come about for you?
My mom put me in theater when I was 4, because she wanted the kids to all be social, which was never really an issue. But yeah, and so I think from there, I always did theater here and there until I was probably 12, and then I found out about a TV film acting class, and prior to that, I had no idea that was like attainable.
Mhm.
It just seems like this exclusive thing that you have to be born in LA and
Sure.
yada yada, which you don't. You just have to know a little bit about the industry. Although with Google now, I'm sure everyone kind of can figure how to go about
Right.
it. But yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I don't know. It's just something I've always loved, always knew I wanted to do, and am blessed and thankful that I get to do it.
This wasn't on my list of questions, but it kind of bounces back to me contacting you about an interview.
Yeah.
I guess older actors probably were more cut off from fans around the world, but now you're kind of a message away from your fans. Do you enjoy that part, or is it
I
not so
do.
much? Okay.
I personally do. I can see why people would be a little bit overwhelmed by that. But I think it's an honor to be able to touch so many lives. Um, but yeah, I mean, back in the day, I guess you had more privacy. So,
Sure.
but I think going into it, it kind of, it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, personally, I love I love reading the comments, even if they're bad, because they cry. Thankfully, I can, I've been prepped enough. It wasn't something that I just kind of like fell into and had no idea about the negative feedback that you could get from people. But I find it kind of, I don't know, fun. I get so many messages in my inbox. I don't know if we can curse, but calling me calling me a dumb bitch for opening the Annabelle box, and it just makes my day. It cracks me up, actually. But yeah, no, I think it's a fun way for actors and fans to communicate about, whether it be about their personal lives or sharing some of our struggles. And yeah, I don't know if I really answered the question.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
And you just have to forgive those people that call you a dumb bitch, because Annabelle's still real to them. Okay.
It is. It's funny to me, though, that you go on IMDb, you search the actress that plays this character, you see that the name is not the same, and then you go find their Instagram, you write them, but you see, like, I don't know if they think that we write the script. Who knows? I don't know. Right. But if you're passionate enough to reach out, then hey, that's cool.
And maybe that's a good sign, because they suspend their disbelief enough to think you're really there. So
there we go. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a positive all around.
Yeah. But it's it's fun. I've gotten to go to a few conventions too and meet people, which is really cool. To just get to talk to people who are passionate about some of the projects that I've been a part of.
Awesome. So you talked about being kind of terrified of horror back when you were younger, but you've obviously, a lot of the work you've done, especially as of late, has either been in the horror, kind of horror adjacent, supernatural and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you've kind of developed a love for it over the time you worked in it. What are some of your favorite horror movies now that you've kind of developed that love?
I love all sorts of horror movies. My favorite is probably, The Shining, because I love Jack Nicholson and Stanley Kubrick, and I think it's spectacular. Which So Cold the River kind of has the feel, just because of, the hotel aspect, kind of being stuck in that same place. I also, I love Hereditary, Toni Collette. God, I don't know if you saw that, but I feel like I've never seen an actress cry over, grief so accurately. Like, it really fit the grief that she went through in that film. Just also
that scene where it's just on her son in his room and you just hear her scream is just kind of chilling.
Yeah, it's that it sticks in your mind. It speaks, miles. Jacob's Ladder, which is kind of horror-ish.
Nice.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know. I love also. I watch all sorts of horror.
Sure.
It's fun. It's just a really fun genre. It's easier to watch now that I've done it too, because then I can kind of be like, no, it's a prop. It's a prop. It's an effect. It's a special effect. Yeah.
Being a Shining fan, did you enjoy Dr. Sleep as well?
I think I only watched half of it, not because I didn't like it, but because I tend to do that a lot with movies, which is a really terrible thing. I've seen probably the first half of, like, I don't even know, hundreds of movies. And I think it's because I start them at like 1 a.m. and then I get tired.
I think we're all guilty of that. So
yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really wildly different from The Shining, feel wise, from what I remember. But I did really like it. What I saw. What about you?
I've been told, I've not watched it, this version yet. I saw it in the theater. But I'm told to watch the director's cut, so I need to do that at some point. So
me too. That and finish it.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah.
So just kind of looking at the work you've done, it's been a mixture of TV and film over the past several years. do you have a preference that you like more than the other, and kind of what are the major differences in both?
Thankfully, the TV that I've done, I feel like if I was to be on a series for years and years and years, I would kind of get sick of playing the same character after a while. I mean, that's a privilege to get sick of it. I mean, any acting is just lovely and not really work for me. It's just fun. But I I enjoy jumping into different characters.
Mhm.
So probably film, just because you do get to live in that world for a while, live with this character, really delve in, understand it, and then move on, that, or I guess ideally I would love to do a really great mini series.
Sure.
uh, it just those are easier for me to watch as well, because I'm terrible about starting a season or starting a series, finishing season one, and if season two is not out yet, by the time season two comes out, I will not remember season one. I'm not gonna rewatch season one. So good luck. And so it's like a mini series for me that I just forget. And so but yeah, anywho, so acting wise, I think just the more characters I get to play, the merrier.
Sure.
So um yeah, film.
Film.
And
Yeah.
then I love filming out of town too, because I think it just creates a little bit more of a family within the cast. You can't go
Oh
home to
yeah.
your house in LA, and you're kind of forced to hang out with everyone there or be alone and
Sure.
lonely and hang out with the crew, which I've done both. Yeah, and you just you meet all sorts of different people, different walks of life, different outlooks on life, and get to see all sorts of different places.
Awesome. I'm going to kind of bring in some chat questions here that kind of pertain to what we're talking about. And so Dan has a question here about how your experience working on Supernatural?
I loved it. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Definitely one of the best times of my life. Vancouver is great. And it's fun. I went to one of the conventions. I'm actually going to another one in June, in Chicago, which will be fun, for Supernatural. But those fans, man, are die hard fans. And I love it. I love seeing that. And I love that the people behind it are really, really great people too. um I still keep in touch with even Phil, like the director of our episode that we did. I just saw him like last month. But Jensen and Jared are just phenomenal. They're great to work with. Such sweet, kind-hearted people. I might be a little bit biased. We're all from Texas. No, I don't
Right.
have like that whole Texas pride thing, but like maybe a little bit, maybe just like a touch. And yeah, no, meeting them was really cool. Seeing people who have, they obviously are very successful, had been at it for a very long time, and we were coming on, me and Joy, to the 200th episode. It's an established crew. They've all been there. I think most of them had all been there since the first season, which is kind of unheard of for crew to stick around that long, which
Sure.
says something of the show. But that was something that Joy and I both mentioned, who played Maeve, when we got on set, was they just welcomed us in like we were a part of the family from day one. Yeah, it was just such a blast.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Kind of going through the chat here. I have to bring this comment up because my buddy Drew has been on me all week about
Okay.
how much he loves you, and so he wanted to say he loves you so much, and he's a Texas guy too. So
Oh, there we go. Well, then I love you even more.
there
Oh,
you
that's
go.
so sweet. Thank
That'll
you.
make his day. So
Good.
so I want to move to we'll talk a little bit about Annabelle and how did that role as Daniela come about for you?
Um, I mean, through the usual, well, it was before COVID, so not, I guess the usual audition process now is a little different because it's all on tape and everything. So I went in person, um, and that was really fun. I I think they'd been auditioning for my character for a while. I don't know. I think some aspects of her might have changed something. Because the turnaround was really quick from when I auditioned for it to when I filmed it. But within like, I want to say a week, maybe, I feel like I was at the chemistry read. And it was weird because, so essentially it goes like audition, callback, which are like with producers and stuff like that. Then sometimes it's a chemistry read, which they'll bring you in to read with any of, the other actors that they have cast that they feel like you might need to have chemistry with, whatever. So I get brought in for this chemistry read, and I didn't realize, I mean, I knew it was on Warner Brothers lot, but I didn't realize it was going to be on the set of the movie, which is like, it was so weird, but so cool. So Madison and McKenna were there, and I was the last of 4 girls, at least in my group, that they saw that morning. And because it was on the set and it was on a sound stage, you could hear everything because nothing's really closed off,
Sure.
right? It's an actual house. And and most of the scenes are very high stakes. You're yelling, you're screaming. And I was like,
Right.
frick, I really don't want to hear what other people are choosing to do, because I don't want it to change or affect or make me question my decisions on Daniela and how I wanted to play her. So the whole time I was just like, as hard as I could, just trying to kind of like I don't know, anything to tune it up. Thankfully I did. But yeah, so then I went up, and it was in the living room that we actually ended up shooting in, that we did this chemistry read. McKenna and Madison were great. I think they might have given me one redirection, not too much feedback, so I didn't really know what to expect. I felt like it went well. And then I left. I remember what McKenna was wearing. I think she was wearing like navy overalls, and I want to say a t-shirt that had like dinosaurs on it. So I think I thought she was like 10 for real. And then Madison, I thought, was for sure, like, I was like, you're no more than 19. But yeah, so I don't know, it was great. We just all really connected. We played off of each other really well. And yeah, it was a really cool, unique experience.
Yeah, I think it's kind of unique because it's like the three of you are kind of carrying your way through that, and kind of hanging on each other's shoulders through the whole thing, to
Yeah.
make it through that night. One thing I wanted to ask about your character is, when we start the movie, you kind of get the feeling you're going to be like that girl that stirs the shit in the group,
That's why I
and
said I'm not mad at anyone for yelling at my character.
right.
you know?
But we do find out there's a lot more emotion behind, kind of what you're going through. Is there like a fine line you have to ride when you're playing a character like that, so you don't go like over the edge on either side of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think being mindful that the character could be taken completely the entire way as just the annoying character that you want to yell at the whole time. Like, having fun with it, but knowing where that turn is and kind of I think connecting with the emotional aspects of Daniela, very truthfully and honestly, and telling and connecting to that pain honestly will help helps the audience connect to that pain and see that pain and understand why she did what she did. So the more honest I made that and vulnerable, and the more I connected with really like the loss of her father and how desperate that can make somebody, I think the easier it is to really empathize with her and put aside your judgment and kind of see through her eyes. And that's gonna come, so there's a little bit more freedom, I think, in the beginning, with her being kind of sarcastic and witty and super interested and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, and then this is a little bit off topic, but I was going to say, as far as balancing horror and heart, which I feel like the Conjuring series does so well.
Right.
It's not just like a kitschy, horror just for jump scares and things like that. They really put some thought into the story and add a lot of, I think, a lot of love behind it. It was something that actually Vera Farmiga was actually talking to me about. I think she said when they did the first Conjuring, they kind of looked at it as more of a love story than a horror. And when you think of it that way, it does put more at risk. There's more at risk than just, it's not just your life at stake. It's why does your life matter? What in your life would you miss out on? What, everything like that. And what does this love mean? That if this love was to die, it would be so tragic. And so I thought that was like a really interesting spin on how to go into horror, bringing a little more depth to it than just I'm terrified in this artifact room.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Beyond that advice, Vera and Patrick Wilson have been doing those movies for years now. Did they give you any other unique insights into how to approach things in those movies?
For Vera, that was definitely the one that stuck with me the most. Was, approaching it, like I said, like from a place of heart and finding the core passion and drive and everything like that outside of just the horror genre. There was one scene, so it's the last scene with Vera where she essentially gives me a message from my father who passed. And there was a few takes where I just was really connecting with it and I really felt it. And then as it happens, and I teach acting on the side as well. And so I would tell my students, like, let each take be different. It's okay if it's not the same. Don't try to replicate something. But of course, easier said than done. I'm in the moment. Damn it, that was so much better. So much better before. It was so much better. And like, I'm not getting there. I'm not connecting. What is going on? Of course, I'm not saying all of that. I probably just was like, I came out of the room after cut, and then I was like, oh, fuck. Something like that. And she just goes, and she heard me, and I was like, yeah. Like, you don't want Vera to hear you like beat up on yourself. And I was like, oh. She's like, hey, it's okay. Let it be different. She's like, you're doing great. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. But no, that was refreshing too. Just that reminder, which I think we all need, no matter how long you've been doing it, is, it's a challenging thing, and emotions are challenging, and to take that pressure of trying to what you feel like it should be or what you want to execute, letting that go and just truly remembering, just live in the moment, trust that if you've done the work and you understand the character enough, that what is necessary will come through, as long as you are listening, present, and willing to take in whatever's given.
Yeah. Sure. And I'm sure when you're in the middle of it, and those emotions can become somewhat real when you're really trying to put everything into it. So
yeah, the emotions are real. There will always be, for the most part, an aspect of actors that is aware that we are acting somewhat, whether it's like very more mechanical and it's just in the background. You have to hit your mark. There's a piece of tape on the ground that you have to hit, and be at. There's the camera in front of you. It's not just Daniela alone in the artifact room. It's Daniela being played by me in the artifact room with the cameraman and the sound guy and the director and everyone, and so it's like a bunch of people. So there's all these working parts. But that being said, I think you can still get caught up in the moment quite often, and those emotions can still be real. That's one of the funnest things as far as acting goes. I definitely felt connected to my character in that and her pain.
Cool. We'll stick with The Conjuring here. Dan had a question. What are your thoughts on The Nun and the upcoming sequel?
I'm excited for it. I love Bonnie, and I just love everything The Conjuring. So, I'm excited that there is an upcoming sequel. I don't know. I guess this is comments on it. I will definitely be watching it for sure. Yeah. I want to see a Bloody Bride sequel too.
Maybe the nun will have Danielle as a sidekick or something. She can
Yeah,
run around
absolutely. the nun could really use Daniela there to mess things up. That'd be fun. I'd love to be a part of the Conjuring series as anything. I'm like, shave my head, just make me a different character. It'll be fine.
Right. There you go. Andrew had a movie recommendation for you, actually, Possession from 1981. So
I've not seen it.
Stars Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. So
okay. I'm writing it down.
It's pretty wild. I'll warn you.
Okay. 1981. Watching it. Thank you, Daniel.
So I'm gonna go back up here to another question because I'm gonna get into So Cold the River here.
Okay.
And Dan is asking if you read the novel.
I read the novel Forever Ago. Yes. It's great. It's quite different from the film. They had quite a different spin on it. But still with respect to just, I think, the core elements and everything like that. But yeah, cool. It was great. I mean, Michael's great writer.
So I did want to tell everyone that you can get So Cold the River now on streaming services. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. How did that opportunity come to you, and what was the experience like making that movie?
That was so fun. That came about the normal audition route. I think we all auditioned. That was, I think, really important to our director, Paul Schulberg. He wanted to really pick out the actors, not just based on what they'd done, but really if they could bring what was necessary for the role and stuff. Of course, everyone's going to consider what you've done in the past and stuff like that. But sure. I remember I auditioned for it, and I really loved the character. I thought she was fun. Like I said, I love playing different types of characters, and I think the broader the range, the better for me, the more fulfilling for me. So I loved, she was a bit edgier than I'd played before, and just kind of spunky and fun, and had a lot of depth. So I auditioned, and it was weird. So anytime that I've booked off of a self-tape, which is essentially, it's like an audition that you tape at home, and then you send it in, I've always gone straight to booking it. Where sometimes there'll be a callback process even with tapes. And so I auditioned for this. Who knows how long went by? And then I don't hear anything. And they were like, "Hey, you booked this film." And I was like, how many ago was that? Okay. Cool. So it was just, I mean, I had no idea how it went. You just kind of send auditions into the ether and never hear back, or you do. So that was really cool. I found I was going to be filming in French Lick, Indiana. I had no idea where that was. My manager was like, "It's you heard of Larry Bird?" And I was like, "Sports are just not, I don't know anything about sports." But I was like, "Sure, basketball player. Okay, cool." He's like, "Yeah, that was like, he came out of French Lick, but population is like, it's under 1,800. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. Which is crazy. So I'm looking this place up, and you look up the hotel, the West Baden, and you're like, what? Why? How? Why is this here? And where? And what is? It's just so strange to have this massive, beautiful, gorgeous dome kind of in the middle of, like the woods. And if you look at, the drone shots, there's just so many trees around it, which makes it even more mystical and fun. So I was really excited because, like I said, I love filming on location. And we filmed for, I think, like about 2.5 months or so down in French Lick. And I didn't really venture much. I stayed in that hotel for most of it. I think half of it, we had it, at least half, completely to ourselves. So the public wasn't there, which was crazy. You know, you just feel like a child, or like you're in The Shining.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, some of the other cast had families, so they would leave town on off days to go be with them. And I am single and don't have kids, so I
Yeah.
just was like, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna just live in this hotel. It was cold, so we literally just stayed there the whole time, and hung out with the crew, and it was great. Everyone there is so lovely as well.
And not to interrupt you, but you
No,
guys kind of wrapped this up right before COVID kind of hit. Isn't that right?
yeah, like right before, thank God. But
Yeah.
that was crazy. So it made it feel like it was a lot longer since we
Right.
filmed it.
Yeah.
'Cause that was a different life ago.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And you're from there, or area-ish.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
cool.
actually from the town that I don't know if you were keeping up with the news, but the escaped convict with the corrections guard that took off together down in Alabama. They actually
Mm,
caught him in my town. So
okay.
it's been a crazy week here. So
It's been, yeah, wow. Okay.
so
And then uh wasn't what is did you ever go to the hotel? I forget if we talked about
I
that.
did, yes, yeah. I've been there a couple times, and it's just I was going to ask you what your impressions were when you first walk in that atrium and just look around.
I mean, you're just like awestruck.
Yeah,
It's astounding. It's astonishing. I, of course, you know, like I said, I'd seen pictures and things like that, but just nothing does it justice. You know, as it's when you first walk in, and I don't know, the detail, everything. It's so beautiful. I definitely want to go back and just visit just for fun. We went for the premiere. We got to go back, which I thought was really, really cool. And we got to meet a lot of the locals and stuff like that. We popped in to like do a couple Q&As at the local theater, which is
hmm,
cool. Um, but yeah, no, it's, there's nothing like it, especially here in the US, you know,
yeah,
it's very European.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah. I don't know. I
Uh,
can't believe I'd never heard of it. I can't believe most people had not heard of it.
yeah, and it's kind of off the beaten path too. You know, with French Lick, it's not really sitting on an interstate per se, so you wouldn't just see it driving by and stop. So I encourage anybody that's not checked out the West Baden Hotel,
Yeah.
check it out online. And it's got an interesting story too. It was kind of falling apart and falling down until the past 20 years or so. So it
Yeah, and then
really,
also it's interesting, like, what all the building has been, you know,
yes,
a
yeah,
circus at one point. Like,
yeah.
I don't understand.
I'm sure
Yeah, no.
those walls, if they could talk, they would tell some stories. So
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think someone, maybe Ben Grimm, there in the chat, asked earlier what the coolest remote location was you shot at. And I'm assuming that's probably West Baden. Is that
Mm, West Baden is the most unique and one of the coolest for sure. And then Puerto Rico. I got to film in Puerto Rico,
oh,
which
okay?
was um but West Baden was the most uh yeah, just unique experience, and just it's just gorgeous. I spent a much longer time there. Um yeah, yeah, I would say that.
Cool.
Um yeah.
Um, I've got a couple more kind of horror ish questions,
Mhm.
and we'll kind of get things wrapped up here. Dan did want to suggest Tatane, if you haven't seen that, be a
No,
wild
I've
double
not
feature with
downstairs. Oh,
Possession.
okay. I
So
have not seen that. Sounds good.
it's a French film that was came out last year. So
I had nothing to base that off of, and I go, this sounds great.
I'll leave that up there if you wanted to write that down. So
Yeah, yeah, no, I
uh,
got it. I got it. I
we're
have
just
just
giving you all kind of movie suggestions here. You can
it's great.
take
Please
with
do.
you too.
I have a list. I always have to I keep a list of all my favorite movies, just because I'm So I swear my memory is dedicated to acting and my career, and thank God for that. But otherwise, I can watch a movie and I can forget it next week. And like legitimately, I could love the film, and I will forget so much. I don't know why. I don't know how. They say it's something to do with like being ADD, which I definitely am. So I don't know, but yeah, my friend used to get mad at me because someone would be like, "Have you seen this film, Katie?" I'd be like, "No, I've never." They're like, "We watched that together," and I'm like, "Huh."
So they're just testing you now.
You
It's
know
to this
what I'm
point.
saying? Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, what's your favorite horror movie? Do you have one?
I would say, it's tough. Obviously, I got a bunch of crap behind me, and I love
Oh,
Halloween 3. Have you ever watched Halloween 3?
And then I see you also like the
Yeah, I like a little bit of everything, but Halloween, the original, is something that I just remember that playing on the TV on Halloween night when I was going through the candy, and so that's always going to have a special place for me. So
oh
I
yeah,
would
and
probably say that.
okay, nice,
So
yeah,
yeah,
those are great. They're great and
yeah,
so fun. No, I love horror. Um my ex is actually kind of the one. We're still like he's still my one of my best friends, and then
hmm
we also own an acting studio together. So and
cool.
I've known him since I was 15, so he's great. But he's
Yeah,
kind of what who got me into horror in the first place. Um, like I think eased me in for a while. I would watch a horror movie and then I would be terrified for months to come
right.
of whatever that monster was, right? So
Yeah,
like, you can imagine I kind of avoided them for a little bit there. I would make my friends sit outside of the bathroom while I peed because I was so terrified. I don't know what I thought was gonna like grab me in there, but yeah, no. And so I started watching them with him because he was really into it, and he had all sort of like figurines and stuff like that.
right.
So this all looks very familiar, and
I think it's a guy thing, probably.
I mean maybe more so.
There,
I don't.
there's girls that like that
Yeah,
stuff too. So for
yeah.
sure.
No, but he definitely was like a horror movie guy, which thankfully, so when I went into the horror world, I had already had some knowledge on it and could at least watch my own films, right? Uh,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
I think for me, I like a lot of horror that's not based in reality because it's kind of an escape for me from like the real crap that
World.
goes around in the world. So I
So
think
do
that's why
you
I
like?
enjoy it. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. No, I cut you off.
I was just saying I think that's why I enjoy it so much. So
Do you like more of like the horrors that have real killers, like or like Scream or something like that, or do you like more of like the fantastical,
I would say I'm
more fan?
probably the real,
Okay,
like a Michael Myers because I'm kind of into true crime too. So it kind of goes
I'm too.
hand in hand. So
Yeah,
we had a guest in the past that was a really cool guest, and it was his name is Michael Channels, and he became best friends with Charles Manson while he was in prison before he died.
oh whoa,
And
okay.
his story was that he wanted to meet the boogeyman. Basically,
Yeah,
that's why he tried to contact him, and he wanted to meet what real evil was. And they just became friends, and he was more a real guy than the boogeyman. So it was kind of interesting interview we did with him. So
that's what it's so interesting about people, and that's one of the cool things about acting too, is I feel like if you do it really truthfully and honestly, and then there's no way that you can't gain more empathy for people, or at least a better understanding.
sure,
Where with someone like that, I mean, it's interesting to at the very least try to get into the mind of,
yeah,
like, how does someone,
right,
like, what, whether it's nature, or nurture versus nature or whatever, but it's fascinating to me. I guess I have a fascination for true crime as well. So,
yeah.
have you ever? And do you watch like the documentaries and everything like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a friend in college too that his uncle was a serial killer, and he had a gay lover, and they would pick up guys on the interstate between Indianapolis and Chicago and kill them, and no one knew really until he was arrested and went to prison for it. So
That's usually how it gets
yeah,
out.
so
Wow.
so it
Dang.
was interesting stories from him in college, and that's to actually find to know someone that dealt with that in their life, because you can watch those documentaries and it's kind of someone else's world, and but when it's someone it's kind of crazy. So
It's home.
yeah,
There are
definitely.
some crazy stories out there.
And there's probably as many stories that we have no clue about that are out there,
That's
which
also
is
very terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh God.
but we'll move on. We'll get away from the horrors of real life.
Yeah.
um so horror films, I guess,
Hmm.
to me they have like phases they go through. Like the 80s was kind of big for the slasher movement.
Hmm.
um Late 90s, early 2000s, it was found footage and kind of the torture saw type of movies. And now I
Hmm.
feel like there's a couple. There's kind of the haunted house, Conjuring universe type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's also, like, I guess what people would consider art house horror. We talked a little bit about Hereditary and The Witch and The Lighthouse,
Yeah.
things like that.
The
Uh,
ritual.
yeah. What are
Hmm.
your thoughts on, I guess, art house horror? And is that something you definitely want to tackle at some point, maybe in your
Yeah.
career?
Oh, I'd love that. I love art house horror. I think it can get really creative.
Hmm.
Uh, and a lot of times it doesn't. Story wise, I feel like they have a lot of depth to
Right.
them. And the acting can be really gritty and raw, and the people are, can be, I feel like, a bit more flawed when it's not. Um, I don't know. I think it'd be really fun. I think, thankfully, when I did Annabelle, it's New Line as well as Warner, and so it had somewhat of an indie film, but also a big budget film
Sure.
feel to it. Um, and that's a cool experience, I think. Uh, but yeah, no, art house is great. I love A24 too.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god,
They
it's so
they don't they don't put out much that's lousy, you know.
no, it's just so artistically fulfilling in every way, in story and acting and visually and everything. And I'm like, oh, God,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think it kind of translates over to TV a lot now too. And this is kind of older, but shows like True Detective are kind of along those lines, where
mhm.
it's true crime yet kind of horror as well. And
I
see,
know, and
that's the series you need to get involved in right there.
my
It's
God, no, that
True
would be.
Detective.
Do I need to do something like that? I would love. I mean, I know
We're
everyone.
lobbying for you right now.
Thank you, thank you.
There you
I would
go.
love to be in in the next True Detective for females. Yes, no, it's
Yeah.
so that is one of. I mean, I know everyone loved it, but it's really truly one of my favorite series ever. Season one is
Oh yeah, that's my favorite TV season or series ever.
yeah, yeah. I would probably argue the same. God, Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, they're dynamic with it. They're so good, and it's so funny how they kind of played opposite of what they are in real life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But no, just it was so good, so good. I mean, yeah, obviously I like it. Okay, I'm gonna stop now.
Woody and Matthew McConaughey great in Ed TV too. That's an underrated movie, I think. So,
I've not seen that.
oh,
I think
it's kind of like, have you seen the Truman Show with Jim Carrey?
yes,
It's
so
kind
good.
of similar. It's TV crews
Okay.
are following Matthew McConaughey around, and it's like about his life. So
Yeah.
I think they came out close to the same time too. So it's kind
Okay.
of interesting.
I say I haven't seen it and then watch. I guarantee I'm gonna get like a text. You saw it.
I believe it is a Ron Howard movie. So.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Yeah. Did you see Haunting of Hill House?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, I really liked the first season of that. McKenna was in that too. McKenna's in everything. McKenna is killing it. Grace, she's the younger one in Annabelle.
Yeah.
My God,
she was great in that too. So
she's great in everything. I love her.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
So, some news came out today. What can you tell me about the Nana project?
Well, I'm really excited. Mercedes is in that, and she is in one of my favorite films, The Fisher King. I don't know if you've seen that. It's with Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges, and it's so good. And so I get to work with her, which is really cool. And then it's actually with one of my best friends is producing it and wrote it. And so it's really cool. I get to work with him again. We worked together on a movie called Twisted Sisters a while ago. I'm getting to work with quite a few people that I've worked with before.
You also get to work with horror royalty with Candyman Tony Todd. So.
I know. I'm so excited. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, that's really cool. Everyone in that cast is really cool.
Oh yeah, Morgan Fairchild's in it too, right? So.
And then oh God, I'm trying to think of who else in that. Definitely forgetting some people. Nolan Gold. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I thought that was pretty cool. That popped up today, and you were going to be on tonight, so that was kind of cool to have you on now for that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you've been working on that's coming in around the horizon?
Right now I'm up for. I mean, because you can't say anything until it's
sure.
But I'm up for a series, which is really cool, and I really love. So it'd be really fun to do. So we'll see. But I have that. I have the convention coming up, and that's it for right now. That I can talk about. And then I've just been writing some stuff on the side for fun. Cool. Some horror.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to wrap it up with one question or one last thing to let you talk about, because I know you're very passionate about veganism and you're vegan activist is kind of what you call yourself. I know.
I've never spoken about it. Yeah, I love it.
Well, I'm part of the way there. I'm a vegetarian, so.
Oh, nice.
But I want to give you the time to talk about that and kind of those causes that you like to champion. So.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Veganism, great. Yeah, no. I got into it. So I'm from Texas. So odds are against me there. And then I'm also, my dad was born in Argentina, so I'm Latina, and then I'm like Spanish and Lebanese on his side. So in Argentina, they eat just, steak and meat, and it's very meat heavy, and so is Texas. So
right.
I did not grow up a vegan, right? I did not like meat. I loved meat, and so everyone's like, so you hated it, right? Like, how'd you do it? I didn't even know if I could do it when I was looking into it. I had a friend who had been vegan forever. That didn't really spark it in me. I mean, I'm sure that planted a seed, but I started to question it, and my boyfriend at the time was also like kind of curious about it. And we decided people are really passionate about this thing, for animals and stuff like that. Like, why don't we look into why, right? So a friend of ours posted something like, if you could do anything for my birthday, go vegan for a day. And we're like, we'll go vegetarian for a week. How about that? And then let's research everything that we can on this topic. And then we can make an informed decision. Because I decided the least I could do if I was going to continue to partake in this thing that people thought was very, like if you saw this side of it morally wrong, then I might as well see it for myself, learn about it as much as I can, and then if I choose to continue, at least I did my due diligence, I guess. So I look into it for a week, and I watched, Vegucated, the one that really read stuff, eating animals, and then the documentary that really, really like just drilled it in was one called Earthlings, and Joaquin Phoenix narrates it. Joaquin Phoenix, and it just it forces you to look into the eyes of the animal, and the same way that you look at your dog in the eyes, and you just know it can feel emotion, right?
Sure.
It doesn't matter how intelligent he or is not. Do you have the capacity to feel pain and suffering and love, and do you have a will to live, right? And so then in that case, seeing those animals through that lens and going through that level of cruelty just was so hard. It's difficult to see. And then you question, well, is any amount of cruelty okay when you have the choice to not partake in that?
Sure.
And so that's where I'm like, if it's unnecessary, then I'm personally couldn't be for it. After that documentary, I mean, me and Tyler looked at each other and were like, I can't ever eat meat again. It took me a year to go fully vegan because I didn't want to quit. I knew too many people that had done it for like 3 days or 3 months or whatever, and then we're like, too hard. And I was like, I have a feeling this is maybe difficult with cheese, which is actually kind of addictive. And so yeah, a year in, I did it. Best decision I've ever done. It's a choice you get to make at least 3 times a day. And it's just as simple as like, eat this or eat this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the abridged version.
Well, I've always said it's really hard because food is good. It's something you can enjoy and love, but sometimes I try to look at it as just fuel for the body, but that doesn't always work. So,
I mean, I indulge. There are the healthy vegans. And then
there's plenty of vegan junk food out there too. So
I have it all in my fridge. I think I had like half a pint of probably Oreo, like oat milk Oreo ice cream to myself yesterday. It's
right.
There's some really good vegan food. There's also some really bad stuff that there were some things that if I tried that first, I would have been like, this is of course what vegan food tastes like. Never doing it.
Right.
But there's it's gotten really good. Really good stuff.
I went to a vegan soul food restaurant in Nashville, and it was so good.
I'm gonna go to Nashville, I think, later.
I'll have to. We go off the air. I'll have to give you the details on that spot.
Yeah.
So.
Please do. Yeah, there's vegan.
It's crazy. I went in there and it's like 2 tables, so it was kind of insane, but it was amazing.
Yeah, it's insane how accessible it's gotten to. I mean, even in French Lick, I would go, the Walmart was maybe like 20, 30 minutes away, and like I'd pick up my vegan food and stock it. We had catering too, which helped, but like almost everywhere now you can get something. And then veggies, of course, are the cheapest thing. Veggies and fruit are the thing you can get at the grocery store. So, but yeah, thank you for asking.
Oh no, definitely. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I apologize to anybody if I missed your questions. Andrew also, he says if you're ever in San Antonio, he knows all the vegan hotspots.
Okay. All right.
But thank you so much for being on with me tonight. And when you get to the point where you win that first Oscar, you got to promise you'll come back and we'll talk about that too. So
promise.
Okay.
And yeah, it'll be when I do True Detective.
Wow. That would be the Emmy probably, but
Oh yeah, never mind. Wait, what did I say? True Detective the film. That's what I meant. Yeah.
The film, okay.
True Detective like role. But yeah, thank you.
But thanks everyone out in the chat. And hang on, Katie, before when we sign off here, I'll talk to you a couple minutes on the other side. But
Bye, everyone.
thank you all for being here. And
Yes,
thank you once again. And
Yeah.
actually, I'll shout out next Friday night here on the channel. We've been doing these crazy tournaments on this channel of
Okay.
like movies and having a lot of fun with it. And let's see, do I have a graphic? Yes. Next Friday night, we'll do a selection show for our Stallone versus Schwarzenegger 64 movie tournament. So we'll
Nice.
set up the field for that. And that'll be 8 p.m. Central. And thank you all once again. And
Yeah, thank
talk
you
to you
guys.
soon.